If you are a frequent listener to the podcast, you know that we have been sponsored by Fuji Sports for quite some time now. Whether you're looking for apparel, equipment, bags, or accessories, Fuji Sports has got it covered. Go to Fujisports.com to see the latest selection of everything you need for your jiu-jitsu, judo, or MMA journey. That's Fujisports.com. Let me take a minute to tell you about RŌL TV. If you're looking to take your jiu-jitsu to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. On this episode, Thomas and his guest, Patrick Morton, look back at the year 2025. They discuss the common themes of the year, as well as play some of their favorite clips. So sit back and enjoy the RŌL Radio 2025 recap.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Patrick Morton, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me. How are you?
I'm doing well. This episode is unique to the end of the year, or I should say, this is the first episode of 2026. We are recording a couple weeks earlier, but I started doing this actually from the very beginning of the podcast, kind of recapping the whole year. And Gary was the guest at the very beginning of it, and then I kind of pivot in different directions, and I started inviting different individuals end of the year to kind of recap this whole thing with me, talk about different topics, different guests, and kind of summarize the whole year. But before we get into any of that, I want to ask you how your 2025 has been.
Actually, it's been an amazing year. I started my jiu-jitsu journey September 2024. So little over a year. This year I got promoted to blue belt. So that was fantastic. And also got a promotion at work. So that was also fantastic. So it's been a very, very rewarding year.
Yeah, and I think what this conversation is going to be very unique in a sense, because up to this point, I'll be honest, I always invited people who have been very seasoned, if you will. There's a lot of mileage, and Ross was one of them, and a handful of others to kind of recap these things. And but today I really changed my mind. I said I'm going to invite Patrick. I want a different perspective on jiu-jitsu, on life, and all of this. And you and I have grown a friendship of sorts. Where we are catching up on regular basis, and we have a cool spot where we get coffee, and we've talked about a number of different topics over this this whole year, right?
Absolutely.
And it's been interesting to exchange perspectives and views. Do you feel like it's important to have a person or people in your life to have these exchanges, these conversations? Wouldn't it be easier to just have our own thing in our mind, and who cares what everybody else thinks?
No, so from my perspective, it's all about growth. All right. If I want to grow, then I can't just lean on my perspective. I'm sure I have plenty of blind spots, so talking to you or whoever else for that matter, I get to hear different perspectives that I can say, oh yeah, I can apply this to my own life, or I can apply this to my jujitsu game. But if I just lean on my own understanding, I miss out on so much. I'm almost limiting myself to how far I can go if I'm only gonna lean on myself.
That's very open-minded train of thought.
Agreed. I mean, you have to be open-minded, in my opinion, right? It's almost like closed mouths don't get fed, closed minds don't get fed either, right? If you close it, then what else is getting in there, right? You're gonna limit yourself to just your family, how you were brought up, how you was raised, and what your experiences are. You've had experiences that I have not had, And so you can share those with me. If I don't talk to you, I don't get that.
How come not everybody thinks that way?
Probably the same reason that not everybody's a fourth degree black belt in jujitsu, right? Is not everybody reaches blue belt. Not everybody even walks through the door to try, right? So I mean, you have different people with different wants, different needs, and everybody you were in a corporate environment before jujitsu, so you know this all too well. Like even in a corporate setting, everybody's not looking to get promoted and grow. Why not? Right? Because it's not a thing for them. They're fine with being content, right? And you usually will find high performers that are like, I'm not staying here forever. I'm gonna do what I need to do to grow. And I think that's really the root of what we're talking about is people that are not content with the status quo and just being content with mediocrity.
Well, but at the same time, like you a moment ago, you said that a year and a half ago you started this new journey of jiu-jitsu, and
Uh-huh.
it appears to me has been very fulfilling so far. But thousands, well, no, let me take it back. Probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions, start the same journey every single year
Uh-huh.
with the thought of growing, of learning
Yeah,
something new. And if we look at percentages of who really sticks around for the first year or two or five, the percentages are very low.
agreed. That's again, let's keep going back to life, right? If you look at life, one thing you tell us all the time, oh, you can do hard things, right? All of us can do hard things. It's a choice if you're going to do hard things. So I can make a choice to walk through the door, but the minute it gets hard, I can make the choice to walk out of that same door. That's not who I am, right? So I'm not going to run because something gets harder. In all honesty, it's going to make me stay longer because now I have this thing that I have to beat, right? And the competition in me, I'm not losing. Right? You know that all too.
Oh, I know you're not losing.
Yeah. So it's a mindset of winning, right? And not giving up because something gets hard. Like you're married, I'm married. Our marriages can get hard. Do we walk out on it? No. Kids can be tough at times. Do we walk out on them? No. Like you shouldn't run at the sign of something getting tough, right? That's where you get your resilience, your determination, and really you show your character right there.
But Pat, I 100% agree with you. We've had many conversations on literally that. But then again, the statistics show it the opposite direction. And I think making this relatable to jiu-jitsu is I feel like there's so many people starting and
Uh-huh.
so many people give up way too soon, at least from my perspective. I think like sometimes we don't even want to give a second chance. Sometimes we
Uh-huh.
don't even want to forget about third, fourth, fifth, or continue trying, having grit. Now we're digging deep. But
Yeah.
I feel like oftentimes we just give up way too soon. Would you agree
Agree.
with that?
100% agree. Right?
Why?
We live in a microwave society. Everybody want everything right now, right? Put it in the microwave for a minute and it's done, right? That's not the world we live in. It's all that I look at it through this lens. When you're looking at people, are they the smartest people because they graduated college? They're not. But you do know one thing about them. They're able to complete something that they've started, right? And that's the root of what we're talking about with jujitsu. Yeah, people walk in, but why did they start? Oh, I want to get in better shape. It didn't happen fast enough, so they quit. I want to become a blue belt. It didn't happen fast enough, so they quit. Right? It's a microwave society. They want everything right now, and quite frankly, people aren't invested in putting the work in to get to the end goal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the hard part behind jiu-jitsu, isn't it?
Agree.
Sticking around.
Yep, it is. I mean, you all say it all the time. More than half the battle is showing up. Right? If you show up, you're not going to just sit there and do nothing. So you're going to organically learn and get better. But are you going to keep showing up?
So what has been the hardest part for you in the last year and a half? I mean, not
Um,
everything is unicorn and rainbows. Can't be.
Not at all. The hardest part is I look at jujitsu like troubleshooting, right? And I'm fascinated with troubleshooting. And just speaking from when I was in the Navy to becoming and getting into IT, I'm a great troubleshooter. But then when it comes to jujitsu, I feel like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And I get beat up, choked, submitted time and time again. And so the toughest part is giving myself grace and not allowing that to seep in and say, maybe this ain't for me, right? More than I'm saying this is for me. I just gotta pull other levers to learn this or learn that. So that's been the hardest part is getting beat up, submitted, choked, and still wanting to come back
Do you still want to come back?
every day.
Your beginning, and I know that story, but many others don't. If you don't mind, I would love for you to share it. How was your very first step through the door
Uh,
to
so
jiu-jitsu?
so for a while, like, Ray was there. Ray was calling me. I actually reached out first, obviously. But Ray started calling me, hey, we want to schedule some time, and I just kept pushing it off, kept pushing it off, kept pushing it off. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just go. I talked to the wife. She was like, yeah, just go. We'll figure it out. So I go, they get me in the gi, and I don't know nothing. Like I don't know anything. So like the first, Ray's like, oh, the hardest thing you're gonna have to learn is how to tie a belt. And I'm like, really? That's the hardest thing I'm gonna have to learn? Like, I don't think so, but okay. So we get past that. Edgar was there at the time. He started showing me the warm up, right? Oh, here's a break fall, here's a hip escape, just follow our lead. Cool. Well, all of that was easy. Honestly, it was like, oh, learned how to hip escape, learn how to break fall. Then it started technique. We were doing cross collar and baseball bat choke, and it was mind blowing.
Coincidentally, that's literally on the curriculum today.
Yeah, yeah. It was mind blowing that I was paired up with a gentleman that wasn't nowhere near my size, but like he was just manhandling me, and I couldn't do anything about it. And it was actually I thought about quitting. Like you tell me, people usually quit after they get their blue belt, and I was like, man, the only time I thought about quitting was like my first month. Every time I came, I was like, I don't know if this is for me, but
Why? Why? Because I think a lot of people might find themselves in exactly the same spot. Like, I feel like longer we train, more open-minded we are to share the experience. But at the
yeah,
beginning, when we don't know anybody, everything is like internal. We
yeah,
just suppress everything in.
yeah. Honestly, it was just getting beat up. I mean, at the rate of which I was getting beat up, I was out of shape. I was winded. I mean, I would leave roll literally almost dead, right? Like I'm ready to vomit everything. It's not a good time. And I'm just like, is it gonna get better? Each time you come, it's like, is it gonna get better? They keep telling me it's gonna get better. I'm not feeling it getting better. But that started to transition after about a month. I actually started to lose some weight. I started to build up more stamina, endurance, and it did get better. Like I still get submitted but I feel great. Like you can lay your weight on top of me now and I'm pretty comfortable there.
And how does that feel now in a retrospect after a year and a half?
To me it's an amazing feeling. I look back and just thankful that I didn't quit, right? I had the determination that I started this and I'm not quitting, and that's something that my grandmother and my mother always instilled in us. Don't start something that you can't finish. So I've always tried to lean into that. It's like I'm not quitting because I started it with a idea and a goal. So I'm going to continue until I can't continue anymore. So
Patrick, that's a very big commitment. I mean, just making that statement on its own, that's a really big point to kind of seal that in. I mean, until you can't do it anymore.
that's it. That's my outlook. Like obviously you don't want this, but like if I get some type of major injury, like I ain't nothing I can do about it. But as long as I'm walking, breathing, and fully able, why not? I've started this journey. Why am I gonna stop it? Like there's no logical reason unless there's a life circumstance that prevents it.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Um, to really look at it from that side. Do you think a lot of people think of it that way?
No,
Do you
no,
th-
but
do you feel like you are a unique cat in that particular scenario?
um I don't think I'm unique just for the simple reason like my way of thinking isn't exempt, right? I'm not special. Anybody can have this outlook and push it forward. Do they? No, that's a choice they're making not to. So from that lens, I don't look at myself as being unique more than I say I'm a person that I have goals and I'm not going to allow myself to even get in the way of those goals.
Do you feel like we get in the way of our own goals more frequently than other external obstacles?
I think if you're not extremely intentional and cognizant about it, absolutely. You can allow yourself to get in the way of your own goal.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I think that might be one of the harder things in jiu-jitsu. Just
Yep.
psyching yourself out and really fabricating these external things that might not even exist.
No, I agree. I think it's a big part about discipline, right? It's easy if it's sunny outside, I feel really good, I don't have nothing on my schedule. All right, cool. I'm gonna go to do jujitsu. But guess what? If it's below zero and it's a snowstorm and I'm a little tired because it's a long work day, I can make the choice to say, I'm not gonna go today. Or I can be disciplined and say, beyond despite those things, I'm still going. Because I tell you what, that one day that you don't go, transition into a second day of not going and a third day and so on. And then you look up and you're not there anymore. Right. So
Yeah.
I don't allow that one day to seep in because that will disrupt my discipline.
I got to give shout out to Mike, who recently is going through some medical things and is unable to train physically. However, he's on the mats every single time I mean, every single week I see him, and
Hmm.
he's the guy who's sitting out on the sideline, stretching, doing, his mobility and movements, to keep his body going. But he's very patient, but he's definitely not disconnected, and I feel like that's one of those things that it's very unique,
Hmm.
in jiu-jitsu, but maybe not even unique to jiu-jitsu, but I feel like we find a reason not to go, and being injured is probably one of the more common ones.
Hmm.
Well, I'll take a quote, small break. I'm just week, 2, 3,
Hmm.
whatever. I'll just rest up, and I'll be back. And
Yeah.
then that time that we would be on the mats gets replaced with whatever, some maybe even important things like family
Hmm.
or kids or work, or maybe a beer, or maybe
Yep.
or a sitcom or a movie or a couch on a time or a book. And some of them are productive, some of them are important,
Hmm.
but it gets replaced, and then returning is very difficult.
Very much so. Very much so. Like I think that may be one of the hardest things to do, right? Is stopping something. Like you completely kill whatever momentum you had built up. It's done. So it's almost like starting from scratch. And then if your mind goes back to when you initially started, it wasn't like the funnest time. So like mentally, why would you want to go back there? Right?
Hmm.
It's like, why would I want to go back to that first month of me considering quitting? I don't. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back there. I'm not going to consider not coming and taking a break. I don't want to go back to that spot. I like the spot I'm in and I want to go up from here, right? I don't want to go backwards to that first month.
I have a theory about this over a couple decades doing this and witnessing a lot of this, as a third party. I feel like when an individual takes a break for the sake of taking a break, meaning I legit need a vacation, a week off, or whatever it is, they are very inclined to come back because they miss it. However,
Mhm.
when the break takes place out of their control, like job change, life change events, injury, perhaps even time needed being at home. All of these things are external factors that impact our decision. The return is extremely difficult because they are no longer eager to come back. I don't know. I might be wrong on this, but it's kind of a behavior that I have observed over the years.
Yeah, I can see that. You ask a question quite frequently of like, why do you want to do this? And that would be my question to people is, what's your intent? What do you want to do this for? Like some people like use Anthony, for example. Anthony wants to be an MMA fighter, right? That's why he's training jujitsu. So if he took a break, does he still want to be an MMA fighter? If the answer is yes, he's going to easily come back because he know he needs it. If I take a break and it was just like, this was just something to buy time. But if I find something else to now fill the void of time, I'm not coming back. So what's the intent of the person coming to jujitsu? And if that intent remains, then they'll still continue to come. But if they don't, it'll be exactly what you just highlighted.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think like people think that deep about all of this, or we are just two knuckleheads who really have nothing better to do?
I think the people that have an ultimate goal do think like this. But I'm pretty confident there's probably more people that may not have an actual goal. It's good for right now until it's not. And then if something else comes up, it'll take its place.
It's always an interesting topic to discuss.
Agreed.
Let's pivot this a little bit.
Okay.
Purpose of this episode is to kind of recap the whole 2025 as far as the podcast is concerned, and I've had privilege to really talk to a lot of different people. But before we get to some of the clips that I want to play and I want to chat with you about, I got a little quiz for you, and I didn't tell you about this, so this is coming from the left. You know me, I'm all about putting people on the spot.
That's all right.
Top 5 countries that people listen to the RŌL Radio. Go. What do you think they are?
Top 5 countries.
Top 5 countries.
Brazil.
Brazil is top 5. Okay. What else?
U.S.
U.S. is top 5. What else? 3 more.
India.
No.
Canada.
Canada is top 5.
All
2
right.
more.
Mexico.
No.
All
right, give me one more. One more.
Colombia.
No.
Argentina. Japan.
Japan actually is number 6. To all fairness, it's number 6. Here's the order. U.S. is number 1. I mean, they are majority. Over 70% of our listeners are from United States. UK is number 2.
UK.
Canada is number 3. Australia is number 4. And Brazil, Japan, Germany to follow those. So it's always... I know. But you know what? Like, as I scroll down through these statistics, and you know me, I'm a nerd when it comes to numbers. So, did you know there was somebody from Greenland listening to us? I had no idea. Georgia, Fiji, I mean, Kosovo, Guyana. I don't know what. I don't even know that was a country. I sometimes I feel Ethiopia. I mean, Congo. Somebody in Congo is listening. I mean, those are interesting things. Anyway, like I said, I'm a nerd. So it's interesting how this silly podcast that started, a few years back at this point, it's clearly making an impact all around everywhere, and it's kind of cool to see all the people listening to it.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Like, I would never expect it Australia. I was never going to say that.
No, and it's actually a substantial amount of people. Yeah. I mean, it is quite substantial. It is ongoing number, and it keeps it pretty high up there. But anyway, a little fun fact about the RŌL Radio. Look at that. Look at that. So what's the next thing for you? Before we get to the clips, and I have them lined up, but what's the next thing for you? You started this a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
It seems like it's going well. Seems like you're extremely motivated.
Yep.
It's what does Patrick want out of jiu-jitsu?
Simply put, just to keep getting better. Better is, I guess, subjective, but for me, I think if you ask me a question or you ask me about a specific technique, I can execute it. I can talk you through it. But for me now, next step is really like chaining things together and really becoming pretty impenetrable when for my defense, right? I really where my focus has been lately. It's like all defense is I want everybody to be like he's the most annoying person to roll with there is. He don't give you anything. He don't make simple mistakes. Like that's what I want to kind of be known for, right? I'm not obviously we have attacks and I get there, but if you can't attack me, then that's the win for me. And then I can kind of do whatever I want to you. So next step for me is really chaining and defense,
You,
with
you,
defense being the prime focus.
you might have opened like a Pandora's box right now. I mean, like this is a public knowledge right now. Like the target on your back has probably quadrupled at this moment. There's a lot of guys sitting at home listening to it. It's like, oh yeah, Patrick.
I'm pretty sure that target's already there, so it's okay.
All right. So listen, I picked 5 clips all throughout. This is only this year. So last year, 2025, right? 5 clips that I thought they were interesting. Clips that, some of them are jiu-jitsu related, some of them are life related. And let's listen to some of them. They're a couple minutes long, so let's listen to a few of them and let's chat about it, because I would love to get your perspective about what the guest was talking about and how you see the similar topic, and we'll just spin it from here. So clip number 1 is Robbie Donolfo, and there was episode 230, so it was beginning of the year. And well, let's tune in. Let's take a look. Would you agree that failure is a natural and necessary step of learning jiu-jitsu?
100%, yes. But you have to be willing to fail. That's the problem. Everybody wants to win in the gym, and they don't want to get better at jiu-jitsu.
Especially when we are at the beginning, when we are white belts.
Yeah. Initially, you're a white belt. The first thing you do is you start pulling from your attributes. I'm strong. I'm athletic. I'm flexible. I'm whatever. I'm all these things I can pull from. Because why are you doing that? Because you want to win.
Yeah.
Right. And there's an ego attached to it.
Oh, hell yeah.
That you don't want to lose. And, it's really hard to get better when you do that. You have to be willing to lose a lot in order to get better at jiu-jitsu. Like I have one guy who's gotten so good so quick, but one of the main reasons he got so good so quick is because he has like 8-foot long legs and nobody can pass his guard. So he's been able to create the time it takes to get good at the guard, And then he like got real good at leg locks, especially rolling with guys that are not good at leg locks. It's pretty easy to catch them. So it's like pulling teeth to get this guy to play top position or do anything other than pull guard and not let them pass the guard and then get the leg lock. Why is he doing it? Because he's winning doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a hindrance to his overall growth because he just wants to do this one thing because he's winning. It's the ego, I tell him, I'm like, listen, you're not allowed to do a leg lock for the next 3 months.
What's his response?
He's freaking out. I'm like, do you want to get better at jiu-jitsu or do you just want to stay stagnant and only do the thing that's worked for you? And the moment you start doing jiu-jitsu, at first you're awful. You get submitted constantly. And then there's something that you get best at first, like there's whatever it is. It could be leg locks, it could be arm bars, it could be one position, the closed guard or something. So you just don't want to do anything else because that's what's making you win.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's a bad goal to have, winning in the gym. Now you have to say, okay, my instructor did it to me when I used to, because I first got really good at the closed guard, and I was like killing everyone from the closed guard. And my instructor came to me and said, you cannot play closed guard anymore. You're done with closed guard. And I had to lose a lot to start getting good at the half, the open, and then even top position at that point.
All right, Patrick. So I'll be honest, the main reason why I picked this, because that's a perspective from a black belt who is seasoned, black belt who's been on the mat for a very, very long time. And I don't know if this looks the same way for somebody who's been training for a year and a half, right? So first things first, what was your first thing that you were successful with?
First thing was probably executing a Kimura. Like I really felt like that was the easiest submission for me to get to. I can execute it pretty good. So that was like my go-to. It was one of the first ones I learned. So I didn't have, a long toolbox of moves to use. So Kimura is probably the first thing, followed by maybe a cross collar choke. The two things that I probably leaned into the most.
So having a tool like this, I mean, Kimura, one of the most powerful points of control, but also submissions.
Yeah.
Having a tool like this, did they make you feel that now you can be less technical because you can lean into the logistics of power and holding on to somebody and really finishing it?
Yeah, not really from my perspective because, obviously, Robbie talking from a black belt perspective, he it's not just having a tool, right? It's also understanding how to set it up, how to have the control before you set it up and not lose it. So, that's what I still struggle with as a white belt. Like, yeah, I knew how to execute the Kimura, but did I always know how to set it up? Did I always know how to get the control up front to make sure I can finish it once I get it? Now, the answer to that was no. So I didn't do it a lot, right? I would have to be going against other white belts and then I could potentially hit it. But the minute I was going against a higher belt, it all went out the window.
Why do you think we gravitate towards winning so much? And Robbie talks about this extensively, right? But like when we start, it's almost like, and I reflected on this so many times over the last 2.5 decades as I've been on the mat, but especially the last decade when I'm in the teaching like position. We come to a facility. Let's take a step back from all this. We come to a facility when we acknowledge we don't know anything. I'm here to learn. I'm my first day. I want to learn. I don't know anything. I don't know this. I want to come. And I come. Show me. Teach me. I'm vulnerable. They show us something. And then we go, destroy everybody. Why? What's the rationale behind this? Why is this so hard for us to just continue being vulnerable?
Easy answer. And Robbie kind of highlighted one of the answers. There's two, in my opinion. One is ego, right? You allow your ego to get in the way of, again, I'm here to learn. I'm here to be vulnerable. I'm here to allow you to teach me. So you allow your ego to get in the way, then all of that goes out of the window. The second thing is, which may be a little bit larger, is we compare ourselves to people around us. So I see this guy doing it. I should be able to do it. Not taking into consideration, this guy's been doing it for half a decade. This guy's been doing it for 20 years. And you're comparing yourself to him, right? You're on week 1, he's on week 100. So there's no comparison there. And I think that's what we get caught up in far too many times is look at my buddy right here. He's a purple belt and doing it. Yeah, I'm only a white belt, but why can't I do it? Yeah, because you haven't had the rounds, the matches, the experiences. That's why you can't do it. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else and just ride your own journey. That's what I try to do. I'm not looking at the person next to me and saying I should be there or I should be here. It's all about me. It's me against me, really, is what it comes down to.
There's this phenomenal phrase And I love it. I don't even know who said it. I don't know when I heard it, but it kind of stuck around with me for a long time. And it goes along the lines of, it's not who's first, it's not who's the best, but who's the last one standing. And it very much so reminds me of what you are saying.
Mhm.
Stop comparing yourself to other people. It is not your journey. Let it
Nope.
be. And simply look back in the mirror.
That's it.
and, and just be a good human and have fun. I mean,
That's it. That's it. Like if I look at my journey, is there people better than me in jujitsu? Yes. Right. And I look at my journey and I say I started. I was, 220 plus pounds, and now I'm down to 170. That's a win for me. Like that was one of my goals and targets. So I don't care what you're doing. I'm going down my path. Have I learned jujitsu? Yes, that's a win for me. Am I better today than I was the first day I started? Yes, that's a win for me. Right. So that's how I look at life, period. And specifically the jujitsu. I'm not caring what the next person is doing to evaluate am I doing it right or wrong, right? It's, hey, Professor Thomas, what did I do and what should I do to further enhance my skill set? I'm not looking at the next person and saying, I want to be as good as them. No, I don't. I want to be the best version of myself that I can be.
well, I wish more people thought it that way. I think more people would train. So hopefully, hopefully we can make a little dent here and really change the perspective how all this. But that's hard, isn't it?
It's
I mean,
very hard.
especially for us guys. I mean,
Hmm.
many of us are so competitive
Yeah.
and really drive. We want to win. We want to, and it's
Yeah.
not only jujitsu. I mean, this is just life in general. I mean, you work in corporate. You're very successful in that area, and like the competitive factor in professional life is very much so visible, isn't it?
It is. It is. And you nailed it. It is very difficult for guys to put ego aside and really just lean into being present in that moment, right? What I would say is to your earlier comment, like look back in the mirror at yourself. Like to me, it's no uh better position to be in than being better than where you started something. If I'm gonna say look back 14 months at where I was at and I'm far better today, who cares about the person standing next to me? Like that to me is an easier competition for me to be better than someone. Also, keep this in mind. You don't know everybody's circumstance. So you don't know
Mm.
what they're battling and what you're battling, they don't know, right? So maybe your battle is far greater than the other person, right? They don't know if you have a mental deficiency and that's what you're battling, right? So that's why I'm like, it makes no sense to compare yourself to others, especially when you don't see and know the full complete picture.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We always we look at ourselves, but we compare ourselves to others as far as we're trying to fit somebody else's life in our own box, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I didn't know that you went from 220 to 170.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I mean, that's
Thank you.
huge.
Yeah. It was huge for my wallet too, because I had to buy all new clothes.
And that's why they say jiu-jitsu is expensive. It's not the gis are expensive or the
No,
membership. It's the fact that
no.
all that changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good for
Yeah.
you, man. I'm proud
I
of you because I'm, you know my story, but I was in similar shoes. I
yeah,
was, it's really life changing. Then, there's this cliche, jiu-jitsu changes lives, but I think there's a lot of truth behind that.
it is. It is. It's so much truth behind it. Changing lives is probably, I mean, obviously that's a good statement, but it may be understatement, right? It's so impactful. And I would encourage anybody to try it, right? Because of not just the weight, right? I think the weight is something you can easily wrap around, but it's more about my mental being of where it's put me in a mental state of how I respond to things and how patient I become. I'm a person that don't have patience, and I never have. And since doing jujitsu, I would argue I have far more than I've ever had before. Like it's done wonders for me. It's given me a way of thinking about things in life, period, outside of jujitsu, that I can take the very things I'm learning on the mats and translate it to every day.
Well, good for you. Good for you. That's really,
Yeah.
really, really good to hear. And speaking of life changes, the
Yep.
next clip is from Matt Urio, and
Yep.
this is actually not really jiu-jitsu related, a little bit jiu-jitsu related, but he talks about family. And I know you are a huge family man, so I selected this one by design. Let's take a look at it. So let's take a listen. Do tell me, how did becoming a father changed your jiu-jitsu, or how did it change you being an instructor?
It definitely changed me as a coach and as a business owner, because I just got softer. I used to be, it's crazy, man. They used to call me the slave driver, my fighters. That was my nickname. And I don't know if I could ever go back to that. Like, and I understand and I remember it. And I was just trying to help them get to that point
becoming
where
a father
they
change.
can
What
make
has
it. And
changed
if I wasn't
jiu-jitsu, or
pushing
how
it
has
hard,
changed? How did it change you
Besides
being an
this other
instructor?
human
Being, or you have few kids, but
it definitely changed me
besides
as a
these
coach
human
and as
beings
a business
arriving
owner,
to the
because
earth,
I just
really
got softer.
fundamentally,
Yeah.
really
I
nothing
used to
much
be,
changed.
it's crazy, man. I used to
right?
be, they used to
Yet
call me the
everything
slave
has
driver,
changed.
my fighters. That was my nickname. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I could ever go back to that. Like,
I never had a
and I
soft,
understand and I
really
remember
soft
it.
side.
And I was
And then
I was just
when
trying to help
these
them
little
get to
creatures were
that
born,
that
and
point where
they
got
got
to
what
take
has
care of their
changed?
every,
If I wasn't pushing
you and
What
your
has
wife,
changed?
obviously, we
Besides
take care
this
of their
other
every,
human being, or you have
everything
few
they
kids,
need,
but
every need that
besides
they
these
have, we
human
had to
beings
take care of, and
arriving
then they
to the
become
earth,
little
really
talking creatures, and then they're
fundamentally,
telling
really
you they
nothing
love you, and
much
they're hugging you, and they're kissing
changed,
you, and you're
right?
like,
Yet
you
everything
just
has
melt,
changed.
and that kind of spills over
Yeah.
every other area of your life, and I believe
I
that's
never had a
the way
soft,
God
really soft side.
and then when
meant for it to
these
be
little
is
creatures were born, and
he wanted
got
us
to
to
take care of their
understand
every,
his
you
love
and your
for
wife,
Jesus.
obviously, we take care of their
So
every,
he made us parents so that
everything
we realize,
they need.
holy crap, there
Every
is
need
this
that they have, we
unbelievable
had to
love
take
that
care
you
of.
can
And
have.
then they
Because
become
if you're not a
little
parent,
talking creatures, and then they're
you could
telling
say
you, I
you
love
and
my
they're
dog,
hugging
I
you
love
and
my
they're kissing
nephew,
you, and you're like,
but you have no clue
you just
what
melt,
love is until
and
you
that kind of
birth your
spills
child,
over
and
every
then
other
you're
area
there,
of your
and
life.
watch this creature
And I
grow.
believe
And
that's the way
nurture it,
God in tight.
and then you finally
for
like,
it to be
oh, I
is
get it. What everybody said, oh, you've never loved
he
anything
wanted us
like
to
you love your kids,
understand
and then so
his
once you
love
get
for
it,
Jesus.
it
So
can't
he
help
made
but
us
spill to
parents
other
so that
areas. Now
we
anybody
realize,
you
holy crap,
associate
there is
with,
this unbelievable love that
you
you
have
can
so
have.
much
'Cause
love
if
to
you're
give
not a
now, and
parent,
so much.
I don't.
You could say
You didn't even
I
realize
love
you
my
were
dog, I
capable
love
of
my
it.
nephew, but you have no
So yeah, it
clue
definitely
what
spills
love
over.
is
It
until
spilled
you
over for me as
birth
a
your
coach,
child, and you're there, and
with
you
the ability
watch
to. I just got
this creature
softer.
grow, and
I gave more leeway.
nurture
I
it.
gave
So
more.
is that a
And
good
then
thing?
you finally like,
Or
oh, I get it. What everybody
is that a
said,
good
oh,
thing,
you've never loved anything like you love
not
your kids.
really? I
And
mean,
then
from
so
one side
once
you
you
say
get it,
you were tougher
it
on
can't
guys,
help but
which
spill
means
to other areas. Now
there's less
anybody you
leeway. There's
associate with,
probably more responsibility,
you
more
have so much love
accountability
to
in a
give now,
sense.
and so much.
And
Oh
now
yeah,
you
I
say
didn't even
that
realize you were
you have more
capable of
empathy,
it.
which is very important from a
So
leadership
yeah, it
perspective
definitely
too,
spills over.
right?
It spilled over for me as a coach.
Yeah, I think
With
it's
the
good
ability to,
because
I just got softer.
I think if you wait,
I gave more leeway. I gave
So
more.
is that a good
Like,
thing?
if I just
Or
went slave driver
is that a good
with
thing,
no empathy, I think
or
I don't
not
think you're the
really? I mean,
best
from
coach
one
you
side
could
you
be. And
say
if I was just lenient,
you were
and oh
tougher
yeah,
on
show up to
guys, which
practice when you
means
want and do this when you want,
there was
and yeah,
less
you'll be
leeway.
fine.
There was probably more
Oh,
responsibility,
I
more
understand.
accountability
If
in
you
a
have too
sense.
much of that,
And
then
now
also
you
you're
say
kind of
that
screwed as
you
well.
have more
So
empathy, which is very
I
important
think
from a
that nice
leadership perspective
balance.
too,
I think
right?
that's what it's done for me, is balance me out a little bit.
yeah, I think
Which
it's
is what I
good
needed.
because
if you ask my
I
wife
think if
or
you
anybody
wait,
that
slave
is close to
one
me, my
way
family,
more than
my
the
mom,
other,
like
if I just
brothers,
went
sisters, they would say that
slave
was a
driver
good,
with no empathy, I
good
think
balance.
You
And
were
you're the
that
best
tough,
coach
huh?
you could be. And if I was just lenient and oh
So
yeah,
you're
show
a
up to
family
practice when
man,
you want and do
Patrick.
this when you
Oh
want, and
yeah.
yeah, you'll be fine.
That's a big
Oh, I
part of your life.
understand. If you have
And
too much of
you
that,
have two
then I think
daughters,
also you're kind of screwed as well.
beautiful
So
family, and
I
so
think that
the
nice
big question
balance, I
here
think
is:
that's what it's done for me, is
Are
balance me
you
out a
are
little
you
bit,
softy like
which is what
Matt,
I needed.
or
If you
are
ask my
you a
wife
tough
or
man?
anybody that is close to me, my family, my
Um,
mom, brothers,
no, I'm
sisters,
not.
they would say that that was a
I'm not a
good
softie.
balance
You were
now.
I'm
that
probably
tough, huh?
the more firm one in the household. And Matt brings up some incredible points. One, balance, right? Balance is really key in all that we do. Like, you over rotate one way or the other, you it's probably not the best, right? So I think him talking about having a balance between slave driver and empathetic leader, is key. The other part is, how does having kids change you, right? It's like you have kids. What was so changing about that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that with adults we have expectations, right? That you was raised the right way, that you know certain things, there's these expectations that exist. With kids, when you have them, there is not any expectation because it's like I'm responsible to teach this kid this, that, and the other, right? And I think it also opens your eyes up to maybe the kids that don't have a strong support structure or system around them, and then you can understand that these kids eventually turn into adults that don't have any structure or discipline or any of that. So, like to me, having kids, there's two-sided. They can soften you up because you develop a level of patience, but then you also should understand the obligation you have to raising good human beings to participate in society. So I think kids are amazing, um, but you still have a right and obligation to make sure that you're contributing positively to the overall society, right? Is you can't just not invest in them, right? And I think that's a lot of what Matt was saying, and he's shown that he's transitioned that into running his business. It's like, oh, I'm now a bit more empathetic, not too much, but I have to balance it out. So I agree
Well,
with him.
you know what's interesting about all of this is like, and obviously in Matt's case, we talk about, jokes aside, but we talk about him getting a little softer, perhaps being more empathetic. But I think the pendulum could swing the opposite direction. There's plenty of examples who, of parents who are perhaps not the best example for their kids, and kids get born, and they step up the game, right? And in
Mhm.
both cases, we have this, and that was kind of my conclusion listening to or selecting this clip, is the fact how one event that could boil down to a very short period of time could really change the trajectory of our life. And kids are extremely big and an impactful event. I mean, there is a lot of responsibility that gets carried around this. But if we were connected to even more jujitsu-like scenario,
Mhm.
there's plenty of events throughout our training, which technically nothing really changed. There's one thing occurred, and this could be, an event that you were, or class that you attended, or perhaps you got caught in a submission, or you did a submission, or perhaps you had an epiphany, or perhaps a promotion. Many even, link that to that point. In all of these examples, nothing changed. This is literally a minute before, thing
And a minute
takes
after.
place, minute after. Time passes by. And yet, everything shifted.
Mhm.
Everything shifted. That sounds really deep. And really, again, nothing changed, and yet everything changes. How do you process these moments? Like in your, whether life or jujitsu, but like, how do you explain these things?
Yeah, so I'll break this down a little bit into sections. So let's say if it's, me getting submitted, and then right before that and right after that, right? So to me, before I got submitted, I processed this information a certain kind of way. I would imagine after I should have a point of reflection, and then I can now put that in my toolbox to maybe not get submitted again. Let's go to a more maybe upfront one, like a promotion, right? You get promoted on today, right? What really changed? To your point, nothing. Like you get a new color belt, you have the same skills, the same mind, the same body type. What really changed? So for me, when you look at something like a belt promotion or a new stripe, it's more about all of the time before that led up to that point. So it's not about just the moment before. So if I get my blue belt, I then go reflect on the whole year and a half before. All of the training partners I had, all of the coaches I had, all of the new techniques I had to learn. Like that's where my mind goes. So I'm not thinking about, oh yeah, 1 minute ago I was a white belt and now a minute later I'm a blue belt. No, that blue belt represents a time period of a commitment that I've made and kind of have lived up to. If I get to purple, it's going to represent 3, 4, 5, 6 years of a commitment that I've been able to be disciplined in training, being a good training partner, learning experiences, etc. So that's how I process it. Like I don't process it, you just got promoted. Congratulations on that. But like we just talked about it. Did something really change for you? No. But that's a culmination of what you put into the sport the last 4 or 5 years. That's what that next stripe represents. And it then represents what's your obligation moving forward, right? Is you probably have a big target on your back from me, but what it let's move forward.
Well, now since we announced this on a national podcast,
Yeah.
better watch my back.
Better watch your back. No, but that you're right. Nothing really changes, but everything changes. It couldn't be a more accurate statement.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about all of this. And again, nothing can compare having kids or some of those big life-changing events. But I think if you look at under the hood, it's very much so similar to, I mean, all of them are very much so similar. Maybe the degree of impact changes or, what logistically happens in life, but it's still an event and our attitude shifted, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's listen to next one. Tom Cronin, that was episode 255, one of the better conversations that I had. And actually, it's interesting to me to reflect on each of those episodes individually, because Tom and we've been trying to connect for a long time. And he is extremely busy individual, running a very successful academy in California, but also one of the best exchanges that I had with a guest on the show. Very calculated, a lot of deep thought. So let's take a listen and let's chat about this.
Okay.
Gold medals not being as important as a skill. We talked about, kids focusing on being kids. At the same time, lifestyle is important and consistency of training and all of this. I can't help to think or ask myself, is jiu-jitsu for everybody then? Like, can everybody find something in jiu-jitsu, or really is it more of a natural selection of not everybody will stick around? And I'm not talking about old school when you and I were starting, because we both know not everybody's sticking around.
Definitely
but
not.
I'm talking about more today when this becomes a service, a service that's being offered to large diversity of ages.
What do you think? Do you think it's for everybody?
Well, I'm curious what you say.
Okay, well, I think anyone can do it. I've had students with no legs. I've had students with severe mental challenges, and they could do it. I think anyone can do it. I don't think it's for everybody. I think parents play a big role in it too. Parents who pacify their kids and give them whatever they want, make them spoiled. Don't bring me your kid because you spoiled them and then you want me to teach them how to lose when you don't back that up at home.
I agree. Yep.
And then they get super hyper defensive when their kid comes to them crying, oh, Billy's a bully and he beat me up or he called me a bad word or something,
Yep.
You're preparing them for life. And, sometimes things just go down and you got to let it happen. And of course we are on top of it, but we don't want kids getting injured and we don't want kids behaving in a rude manner either. They should be a good citizen. But I'm really glad we have cameras because a lot of times, a kid will come and be like, oh, he kicked me in the butt or something while I was turned around. And I'm like, really? And the dad will be like, what's wrong? Who's this kid I'm hearing about? I'm like, well, let's go look at the cameras. And the little guy's like,
let me withdraw.
And we go look at the cameras. And he was the one that did it. And the dad's just like, I'm sorry. And he grabs him. Let's go home. And we don't see him for a couple of days.
So obviously, interesting dynamics with the kids.
Yeah.
Right. But
For sure.
the big anchor point here is I love that question because I think everybody asked all around. And I think longer you stick around in a sense of training, more of that question is being referred to the instructors. Is jiu-jitsu for everybody? Is jiu-jitsu for me? And you even said it yourself just 20 minutes ago that you had some major questions at the very beginning, whether this is for you. So Patrick, is jiu-jitsu for everybody?
No, it's not. I'm gonna tell you a quick story to frame this up. So leaving high school, I was kind of fed up with school. I didn't want to go to college, but I knew I had to do something. So I decided, I talking to one of my buddies. He's like, I'm going to the Marines. You should come with me. So I went and talked to him, talked to the recruiter with him, the Marine recruiter. Right next to the Marine recruiter was a Navy recruiter showing Navy SEAL videos. I'm seeing the videos all while I'm talking to the Marine recruiter, and I'm like, I want to do that. Right. So I go talk to the Navy recruiter with the intent of I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. I enlist, I go into the Navy, and while I'm in boot camp, you have to take a test to basically qualify yourself to go into BUDS, which is like the Navy SEAL boot camp. I took the test, and I'm 19 years old. I'm in the best shape of my life. And I took the test, and I felt dead afterwards, right? I have never been this exhausted in my life. And I decided at that moment where they're telling me congratulations that this was not for me and that I'm not going to be a Navy SEAL, right? Navy SEALs is another thing that's not for everybody. Doctors is not for everybody. Surgeons is not for everybody. Jiu-jitsu falls right in the same realm. It is not for everybody, right? You will have people that think they want to do it, and the minute that they have somebody heavy on top of them, they realize it's not for them, right? The minute that they get choked out or submitted, they realize it's not for them. So to me, it's like everything else in life. Everything isn't for everybody. And I think we have to all be okay with that. Um, it's everything. Not everything. Coffee isn't for everybody, right? So same as jujitsu.
Who doesn't like coffee?
Oh, I know some people.
But that's difficult to even process in a sense, because if we love something so much, if we are so immersed into performing it multiple times a week for hours, and we watch videos and we hang out on podcasts and listen to podcasts, or being cool guest on a cool podcast, whatever the case might be, we want others to do it too. And we tell our family, our friends, our whomever, right? We tell our neighbors, come and do it, come and do it, come and do it. But then we truly should ask ourselves, is this for them? Like, or is it more of their decision to decide whether that's for them or not?
I think it's a joint decision, right? Like I feel like if you're my friend, I come, hey Thomas, I'm doing jujitsu. Here's what it's like. I think you should try it out. Now, once I give you that level of detail, now it's up for you to figure it out. I think trying things is okay, right? I think you can't really make the determination if it's for you or not up until you try it, right? You can't just look at it and say, nah, that's not for me. Maybe you can do that. I mean, you're afforded that choice, but to me, go through it at least once, right? Put on a gi, come roll, and then you will really be able to see, yes, it is, or no, it isn't.
Do you think one time is enough to establish a quote unquote try?
I think it depends on like what your end goal is.
Yeah.
One time is not enough to get a complete picture. We talked about a person wanting to do MMA. No, like that's what you want to do. You got to get good at jujitsu. You got to get good at striking. You should probably get good at wrestling, the whole nine, right? So one time trying for that person is not enough. But if you just know in your heart of hearts, I don't want a large human on top of me. I don't ever want to be choked. I would say that one time is enough. You then should know it's not for you.
I guess I'm trying to think about this in a sense of, at which point you thought to yourself, you're no longer trying it, you are doing it. Like, when was the pivot point when you stop questioning yourself whether this is it for you?
Pivot for me was probably about a month in. Obviously, I feel like once I signed up, I think Ray said, "Hey, as long as you take 8 classes and you decide you don't want to do us anymore, you can quit. We'll refund you." Okay. So I got past that point, right? But it was more about not quitting something that I started was always in my head. I'm like, I can't quit. I can't quit. I just hear my grandmother in my head, like, don't start something you can't finish. And here I am. I started it. So now I'd have to finish it. But about a month in, I felt like I wasn't dying walking out of there. I actually felt pretty good, right? I could have a bad day at work. I can come do jujitsu and I feel way better leaving. So it's about a month in. I felt like I got a little bit more comfortable. Obviously, I wasn't to a point where I was submitting anybody or I was tapping people out or none of that, but I just felt more comfortable, right? And the warm up was easier. Learning the moves, I comprehended the terminologies a little bit more. Like, so it just day in and day out, I feel like I grew more, of learning jujitsu talk and move your hips, create space, remove space, deca. Like within that month, I felt like I really became comfortable with like the foundations, and from there it was off to the races.
Well, let me ask you in typical Thomas way. But did things get easier after a month because you got better, or was it because everybody else took it easy on you?
No, it's because I got better. Don't nobody take it easy on me.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
Yeah, nobody takes it easy on me. Nobody.
Could that be because you are one of the biggest trash talkers? I mean, like, I mean, it seems like you always got something to say.
I do. Ironically, I feel like I've really leaned into talking more. I think it stemmed from like newer people and me seeing maybe the level of nervousness for newer people. And, I want to just try to indirectly create a level of comfort for them. Right. So it's like, oh, he's taking it light and talking stuff, and maybe that makes them feel a little more comfortable. So like I enjoy doing it, obviously, but it's
obviously.
Yeah. But there's other reasonings there too, right? I want, we talked about the social. I guess I don't care much about the social piece, but I want people to feel comfortable enough because I feel like we'll all be each other's best training partners when we're living in our comfort, right? If I'm comfortable in this setting, then I'm open to being a really good training partner. If I'm very nervous and kind of timid, then maybe I'm a hold back and I don't want to converse. And if I have a question, I'm not going to ask it. So I just want to make people feel comfortable, right? And that's part of it.
Well, I think that's an important part, right? The instructors and facilities making comfortable environment, that's one thing, but having good training partners, I would argue that's one of the most important parts for those who are just starting it. Feeling understood, feeling welcomed, feeling included, feeling safe. I mean, those components, without them, might as well not even try. I mean, that's
Agreed.
that's the recipe to failure or success. That's what separates between those two, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's listen to Bill Cooper. And an interesting thing, here's a behind-the-scenes little story. Bill Cooper and I recorded actually episode prior to this, but it didn't work. We had some technical issues. We had to cancel it halfway. Bill Cooper was one of the funniest guys that I've known. I've known him for many, many, many years. And it is just something interesting. So we've been trying to record the actual episode for literally probably a year. And it just kept pushing it. Nothing worked, and this and that. And finally, we got him on, and we were able to complete it. Episode 258. Patrick, can you believe that I did that? This is over 250 guests.
That is unbelievable. And honestly, that's something else to pat yourself on the back about. I know you don't do that a lot, but man, that is highly, highly commendable. Like, have a podcast is one thing, having over 250 guests, like that's nuts.
I know. I kind of feel I'm nuts. Yeah. But look,
Yeah.
I love it. I really love talking to people. These stories are amazing. Well, let's listen to Ben. Listen to Bell. There was a lot of those fun training sessions, weren't they?
Oh yeah, man.
Showing up to
Sometimes
the gym, staying there for hours, and just rolling.
sometimes the spotlight's at the gym. Sometimes you have your best matches in the gym. You're like, damn, I wish this was a match somewhere. You know, you're rolling good, you're feeling good, you got a good warm up, you got a good workout. Now you're
Why
rolling.
is it that, Bill, tell me this. Why is it that very often we perform at the gym better than we perform on the stage? And I think this happens to many students out there.
Oh yeah,
It's like you have the best training camp in the world. Like you freaking rocking it.
yeah.
And then you step in the spotlight and just doesn't stick. Like you've done this a million times.
Yep.
And it just freaking doesn't stick.
Yeah, man, that's true. Even with jiu-jitsu and MMA and fighting and any competition, I think you got to mimic. That's why I say compete often, because those when you compete, that's when you're going to get your role. That's when I remember competing, and it just felt like a training, just like at the gym. I was just like another training camp at the gym. I don't want to say camp because I'm always training. It's no camps. But yeah, going back, it's that's why I say compete often. I remember being at tournaments, and some were 2-day events, by the way. Some were all day, of course. Most are. And I remember going through matches. I'd have 4 divisions. And I was like, man, this feels just like another day at the gym. It felt good. I liked it. I remember doing teens division. It was no gi. It was weight class, teens, and then teens had an open, and then adult weight class, adult open, and then the gi. They're like, dude, I remember 8 divisions in one day. Yeah, I've competed. I remember.
Hold on. Let's frame this. Hold on.
Yeah.
8 division. Each division, how many matches?
So each division
on average,
at least 3 in each division. Adults,
so 20 plus matches in
one day,
in one event.
In one event.
How you feel about that, Patrick?
That's nuts. And I as I was listening to that clip, I'm like, 20 matches in one day. Like, 2 things have to exist. 3 things have to exist. One, you got to have an extreme amount of mental strength, incredible work ethic, and you have to love jiu-jitsu. Like, none of them are negotiable. Like, those 3 things are applicable if you're doing 20 matches in a day. Like, that is commendable.
I mean, that's crazy. I don't know if this still happens to this day to that extent, but I think one of the things that the students who are on the newer side don't process or don't take under consideration that tournaments are extremely well organized these days. You show up, most of them run on time, and even delay. It has a true meaning of delay. It's really a delay. I'll tell you a true story. I remember I was a white belt. This is going 2 decades back, but I remember my match was scheduled at around noon. I didn't compete until 1 a.m. 13 hours later. And
oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And I lost that match. Oh yeah. And like if you ask any of the guys who've been around for a long time, that wasn't uncommon. That was just a thing. That's what you do. Like your matches never run on time. Things were disorganized. It is what it is, right? But I suppose there's a testimonial how well jiu-jitsu has grown over the last few decades. The professionalism has increased, organization, the prestige of tournaments and so on. And there's really more attention to the customer service, if you will, to the client, which is the competitor, right? And it creates a much better environment. But then imagine now doing 20 matches that day, and none of them run on time. Everything is delayed. Everything is chaos. I mean, that's a different world than what we see today.
Yeah, that's 2
Recent,
days.
hmm Recently, you had an opportunity to witness some of your peers at the tournaments those few months back. What was your first impression of
Yeah,
of
so the
an event
first
like that?
yeah, so the first one that I witnessed was Tap Cancer Out. Um, it was organized like really well. Like I didn't expect it to be as organized as it was. So that part was really impressive to see how many people were competing, how many judges they had in place. Somebody got hurt, how quickly people responded to that, the mat layout, the point system, like the whole nine. Like I've never experienced a competition. So like just seeing it for the first time, I was like, oh wow, this is very well organized. And it definitely beat my expectations. On the competing side, I didn't join and start doing jujitsu to ever compete. Like that never was my thing. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing this so I can compete. But seeing how well that was organized and seeing the calls, and the purpose of that tournament specifically, I was like, I wouldn't mind competing in that tournament next year, or which would be this upcoming year. So I likely will do it. I still don't have a desire to really compete, but I think I do want to at least try it once. And then for that specific cause, I think it just makes sense for me. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. And, being able to be there to support, other role members was fantastic also. I thought they did a fantastic job.
So what I'm hearing from you that a nearby competition is coming down your way. It's just maybe not 20 matches in one day.
Definitely not 20 matches in one day. I'm looking for maybe 1 or 2 people to not show up, and then like just have 2 matches and then it's over.
Wait. What happened to Patrick with grit? Wait a minute.
I have the grit. So if I sign up, I'm going to do what's required and what's in front of me. I'm just saying what my preference is.
Fair enough. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Listen, before we listen to the last clip, I every year I try to kind of recap the top 5 because that's always interesting.
Mhm.
Those episodes drew the most attention, and there are some. I had the opportunity to really chat with some big and impactful people in jiu-jitsu community. So just starting from number 5, top most listened episodes on this podcast, we had Leah Stumpf, and that was actually a while back, a few years back. This is episode 125. But shortly after that, following Chris Burns, and I think everybody knows Chris Burns. Quite a bit of personality. I love Chris, but a huge impact on jiu-jitsu he's making with a very unique perspective, right? He's definitely throwing his personality to expose some of the simplicity behind jiu-jitsu. And I had him on the podcast twice, and both of the episodes are on the top 5. And the episode number 4, or the 4 most listened, was episode number 159. So that was the first time. And that follows Henry Atkins. And Henry, you were witness of Henry being at our academy. What was your first initial thought of Henry visiting?
So even before he got there, I had no knowledge of who Henry was, right? Never heard of him. And then, all of the coaches would bring it up. Hey, we have Henry Atkins seminar coming up. Henry Atkins seminar coming up. And I'm like, yeah. I look, it's $100. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to that. Like, I don't know who this guy is. And it had nothing to do with the money. Like, I can pay the $100, but it was just like, I don't know if I'm going to get too much out of it. And he was like, hey, this is not one you want to miss. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I will go. Right. So I came, and there was a gentleman that come from another gym never seen him, never met him prior to then. He says, "Hey, I've done a seminar with Henry, and if he ever comes to Illinois, I'm going to come wherever he is. He's that good, and whatever he's charging, I'm paying it." That's what the guy told me, and I'm like, "Oh wow." Right. And so I'm like, now I'm really looking forward to it. And so that was to date the best seminar that we've had at RŌL, in my opinion. Like, I think it was so simplistic of what he taught us and showed us. Like, it goes to your statement about, you know, nothing really changed, but everything changed, right? And it's like the simplest things, like just a slight movement of your hand or a slight movement of framing your shoulder. You know, it was just very slight things that you wasn't doing, that wasn't a part of your game, and then your game just dramatically changed. It's like now you look forward to getting in bottom side just so I can prove to you that you're really not in a dominant position on top of me, right? It was awesome. I love that seminar. Like, we've had a lot of great seminars at RŌL, but that one was really good to me.
Yeah, it really, I feel like it's a testimony to two things, 2 points. One, how simple jiu-jitsu can be,
Mhm.
and two, how phenomenal instructions changes everything.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you hit that point home for us a lot of times. And that's actually one of the things I appreciate is when you can deliver something in a way to make me think about what the solution would be. So you very rarely just give an answer. You know, if you're coaching, it's all about show me, show me, show me, right? And it's like, all right, let me show you. And then like, where's your arm? Where's your arm? And you like, my arm's in the right spot. And then you look and you like, oh, it's not. My elbow's flared out, right? So like, I think you're really good at making each student, you know, look at and evaluate what they're actually doing, and you don't just give answers like, go, you have the answer, I'm just going to help you get to the right lane to get it. And so I appreciate that. I think Henry did that in his seminar, and I think you do that through your coaching as well.
Well, that's what leadership is all about, right? I mean, giving somebody an answer is not really what we should be doing. We should be guiding them where they need to go, and they still need to deliver their own work. I mean, you were in professional world. Do you ever give answers to your to
No,
your team?
not at all. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you develop people if that's what you're going to do, right? If I'm gonna just give you the answer, one, why do I need you? And two, how are you growing, right? The next time you're just gonna come ask me a question expecting me to give you the answer. And you're never going to grow. Like when you do it, it's like, oh wait, let me make sure I'm thinking of this before I ask Professor Thomas.
Yeah.
And then if I get really stuck, I'll ask the question.
Yeah, and it's something that we talked about a moment ago with kids. I mean, there's a similar factor, right? Like there's something to be said about kids, you know, failing and doing things so they can learn, right? I mean,
Yeah.
do we do everything for the kids, or do
No.
we guide them in the direction where they can figure it out on their own? I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, some might disagree these days, so that's a different topic, which we might not be touching on this episode, but
Yeah. Don't we all think though, like some key, and this is not something we're usually looking to evaluate things that are very visible for us, but like one thing that is usually missing from that equation is critical thinking. Does this person have the ability to think through things critically, right? And a lot of times we miss that, like in whether it's in the jiu-jitsu world or the professional world, right? We don't evaluate that enough times to say, can this person critically think? And so, I've run into a lot of instances where the answer is no. And there you go. That's the root of your issue.
yeah, no, I agree. 100% agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So listen, Leah was number 5, Chris was number 4, Henry was number 3, Hiram Gracie was number 2 most listened episodes to this day on the RŌL Radio, and number 1, 232, Chris Burns once again, and he's bearing everybody as far as the amount of listen to that episode. Again, popular guy and great, phenomenal perspective on jiu-jitsu. If you guys don't know who he is, I encourage you to dip into it. I mean, it's what a great mind and really unique perspective. You need perspective.
Agreed.
Let's take a listen to the last final episode. We have Steve Hardinsky. And again, I think you appreciate this one. I mean, this is a military person who's gone through hardships of life, and he does jiu-jitsu for a living these days. And again, very unique, almost not apologetic way of living life. And there is a lot of freedom that comes from that guy. And it was very refreshing to listen to him. Let's take a listen.
I don't know. I'm all about free expression. You know what I mean? So I feel like we gotta let people talk. We gotta encourage that. We gotta let people try. If I see something I don't agree with, I just don't engage. If I agree with it, I encourage. My grandfather taught me this. This is one of the best lessons I ever learned in life. He said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say shit.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's that's right there a strong statement, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people would need to adopt that, especially on social media. You know, these motherfuckers get online and they'd be like talking like they would never say that in front of you, you know, but hey, we got a keyboard, you'll never see me. I'm gonna talk some shit, you know, and it's like, bro, why are you doing that? Don't you
That's difficult, isn't it?
Well, here's the thing. That tells me that person is actually hurting. You know what I mean? Like, whatever they're saying, if it's a negative thing, I'm looking at that as this guy must be a negative person. Because the people that I hang out with, when I do something or they do something, what we say, we celebrate that. Hang out with people who celebrate with you. And don't judge you. You know, like I used to get people, I used to have some people work for me, people that are like so-called friends that were in my life. And if they're watching it right now, you know who you are. I don't really care. You can call me, I'll still answer, but I don't really care. I don't want you to starve. I want you to eat, but not with me, not at my table.
That's a powerful statement. I mean,
You know?
listen, we don't want you to be hurting, just not around me.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, the thing is like these people in my life that were like that were the people when I would tell them a big idea, they'd be like, I don't think that's a good idea. You're gonna that's stupid, you know? Those kind of people, I don't fuck with them. You know, because they're the ones that they're waiting for you to fail. They act like you're a friend, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and you do something cool, and you're like, and they're like, "So, yeah, but you could have done this. Yeah, but you forgot this." I don't want to be with the yeah, but people. The yeah, but people are full of fucking excuses on why they're fat, out of shape, and they can't fucking, you know, they can't fucking do anything right. You know, I'm not messing with those people, and I'm not trying to call them out. If you are that person, you want to change, let's talk. If you aren't, I don't give a fuck. Be you. You know what I mean? That's it.
What you're describing is really putting accountability on the other person, and or putting accountability on ourselves, I should say. Like if we don't
100%,
want to take
bro.
ownership of a change, why in the world anybody would invest any type of time into anything that we do?
Yeah. Someone told me this. He said, if you don't believe you can do it, then why is anybody else going to believe it? You know?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't believe it here and here, you know, have it here, believe it here, those two things are connected, your brain and your heart. Some people don't listen to their heart enough, you know, it's too much of their brain. But when those things are aligned, you're a different kind of animal. Because see, and I heard this quote, and I heard this from, you know, one of my mentors, Justin. And he said this to me, and it's a quote. He said, the real growth is in the work you avoid. And the things you
Yeah.
avoid doing, right? That's where the real
Yeah.
work is. Like, you know, like, oh man, I should be doing this. Why aren't I? It's hard. And yeah, 100% accountability. Man, I'm gonna get extreme. I will tell this to people, and I can tell who's transformed and who's thinking like me. I say, no matter if I did it or I didn't do it, no matter if it's my responsibility and it's my fuck up or someone else's fuck up, guess what? It's always my fuck up.
So Patrick, what's your 2 cents on all of this? That was a long clip, and a lot to unpack in that one.
Yeah, I think that the first thing that stands out is my mother tells me that to this day. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. She's ingrained that in me my whole life. My grandmother has. She's now embedding that and ingraining that in my daughters. Like she's been saying that for a very long time. So I read that resonated And then the other part, which I don't disagree with Steve. I think that I will say around, when you tell people about your vision or what you want to do, and they may be yes, but, or no, you shouldn't do that. We have to understand that everybody don't share our vision. I've been told my whole life things I can't do from people because of their limited vision, and they can't foresee themselves doing it. So then they will frame you into that same realm, right? So I don't look at them negatively when they do and say things like that. I understand that they don't share my vision. I set goals for myself that far exceed probably what most people would think I'm capable of. They don't know what I'm capable of. Only I do, and I putting the work in and going to do it. So it don't bother me because I know they don't have the vision that I have. That's why I'm where I'm at, and it's why they're where they're at. Right? It's like you have your own gym, and you're going to have more of them. And somebody may say when you was in IT, oh, it's not a good idea to leave IT and go open a jujitsu gym. They didn't have your vision, right? And now if they look today, they be like, damn, you made a good choice, right? But you knew that going in. They didn't because they didn't share your vision. So that don't bother me, but I think he nailed a lot of good points. So it's not a disagreement with him, just more as in I wouldn't let that bother me. But he's right. Negative people, stay away from me. I don't want to be bothered with you. I don't wish you no ill will, but you keep yourself over there and I'm gonna keep myself over here.
There's this phenomenal story, a phenomenal phrase that people are in our life for a specific reason. And some people are just not ready to go to elevation that you are meant to be at.
Exactly.
And it's like rocket boosters. The rocket boosters are not meant for the entire trip.
Exactly.
They are just meant to get you to a certain level, and then they got to detach and they got to let go.
Absolutely.
And when I heard this some time ago, it really resonated with me because I feel like we oftentimes attach ourselves to individuals and we want them to come with us. And if they don't, they drag us down. Or if they still stay attached, they drag us down. But we got to let them go. And end of the day, we are all adults.
Yep.
We all make choices for ourselves. And if you want to come along, come on up.
Yep.
But if you don't, that's okay too.
That's okay too. It's okay too. It's all about, you just nailed it. It's all about, look, here's my journey. If you're here for that, fine, right? If you're not here for that, you're not going to stop my journey. But I don't have any ill will to you because you have your own journey, right? And that's what you're focused on. So people gonna come and go, and the people that are not supposed to come and go, they will not. They will remain right there, whether you talk every day or not. Like they will remain right there. You pick up the phone, they'll be there. You need them, they'll be there. So what's meant to be will always be.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I feel like we should wrap this up on this very high note and a deep thought before this goes down. But with Patrick, we've been at this for nearly an hour and a half. I want to make sure that we respect your time too. But look, before we start wrapping this up, 2025 for me was a year of growth. There was a lot of changes, a lot of learning, a lot of self-reflection for me. But also, I feel like it was time for me to really look around me and see who's surrounding me and what contribution I'm making to other people while people are contributing to my life. And kind of what we just kind of wrapped it up with Steve's comment, people who want to be around us, they are. And people who don't, that's fine too, and no judgment whatsoever. But it all kind of boils down to being a good human, at least in my book.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more. We talk about this at length. That's something that's directly in our control, right? We have a lot of uncontrollable things that we're presented with. We can't control, our health only to an extent, right? You can't control family circumstances, but being a good human, being kind, being respectful, Like, there's no excuse on why you can't do those things. There's zero, right? I can be a good human. I can be in the worst shape of my life. I can be almost on my deathbed. I can still be a good human. I can say please. I can say thank you. I can say hi, how are you doing? You know, I can be respectful. Nothing's hindering my ability to do those things. So, like, the root of everything we talk about all the time. At the start, be a good human. Everything else will take care of itself.
I love it. I love it. Guys, as you guys are listening to this episode recap of 2025, I want to say thank you for listening to the show and tuning in to all the guests that we've had. And there were many of them, many conversations. And we are starting 2026 with one of the biggest names in jiu-jitsu history, one of the pioneers of the East Coast. I'm not going to tell you who it is. That's going to be next week. Make sure you guys tune in. But I'm telling you, this is OG. This is as deep as it gets. A lot of thoughts here about life and fitness and jiu-jitsu and just being on and off the mat, being a good person and good human. And Patrick, thank you for hanging out with me this year. Thank you for the many conversations that you and I had off and on the mat. I appreciate you being a good friend, good student, and good contributor to jiu-jitsu. I'm looking forward to seeing where your path takes you and, how this year is going to unfold for you. And, I feel like you aiming for me from far away. The moment you enter into the facility, I feel like there's a target.
Yeah, one, let me say I appreciate you having me here. Obviously, I listen to episodes and I don't know if you've ever had a lower belt, but usually it's black belts when I'm listening in. So like, I feel extremely honored that you allowed me to be here to spend this time with you. So thank you for that. And then, yeah, you are 1,000% right. You got an enormous target on yourself, which is fine, right? It's fine, right? The teacher gets beat sometimes. At one point in time, Daniel-san will beat Mr. Miyagi, right? It's just inevitable. It's the evolution of our sport, right? So just look forward to it.
And this entire episode, until a minute ago, was going perfectly on track. And Patrick could not hold back. Pat, I appreciate you. I appreciate for this 90 minutes of good chat, good conversation. Looking forward to 2026. This is going to be a good year.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.